The marketplace of New Terraform was a shadow of what it once had been, where gleaming spires had touched the violet sky of Kepler 442b, now only rubble remained. The Velkari Empire's collapse had been swift and absolute. 3 solar cycles of war, plague, and famine had reduced the galaxy's most advanced civilization to scattered survivors clawing for scraps. Marcus Chen adjusted the weathered tarp over his food stall, one of the few still operating in the refugee district. Steam rose from his pots of synthesized protein stew, a recipe he'd perfected using earth techniques and local ingredients. In a sector where most beings were starving, his stall was an oasis. 2 figures approached through the ash-gray dust that perpetually hung in the air. Anna and Roma, Velkari females, their once iridescent skin now dulled by malnutrition, their elegant neural crests drooping. Marcus had seen them before, watching from the shadows, too proud or too afraid to approach. Today, desperation had won. Anna stepped forward first, her 4-fingered hand trembling as she steadied herself against the stall. Her companion Roma, younger and frailer, leaned heavily against her. Both wore the tattered remains of what had once been scholars' robes. The Velkari had valued knowledge above all else before their empire burned. Human. Anna's voice came through the translator chip embedded in her throat, crackling with disuse. We wish to negotiate. Marcus set down his ladle, his weathered face unreadable. I'm listening. Anna's secondary eyelids flickered, a sign of shame among her people. We have nothing left to trade. No credits, no technology, no artifacts. She paused, and Marcus saw the war she fought behind those alien eyes. But we offer ourselves, our bodies, for labor, for guard duty, for whatever you require. In exchange for food, we will serve however you demand. Roma swayed beside her, and Anna caught her shoulders. The younger Velkari's ribs were visible through her thin skin, her breathing shallow. Marcus had been expecting this. He'd seen it before, the moment when pride shattered against the cold reality of starvation. Other species had made similar offers at other stalls, and he'd heard the stories of what followed. Exploitation, abuse, slavery in all but name. The old wound in his chest, a scar from the resource wars back on Earth, ached as it always did when he saw suffering. How long since you've eaten? He asked. Anna blinked, confused by the question. 4 days. But we can work first. We can... Sit down, Marcus interrupted, pulling 2 crates to the front of his stall. Both of you, now. They obeyed with the mechanical precision of those who had learned that obedience sometimes meant survival. Marcus filled 2 large bowls with his stew, added extra portions of the synthetic bread he'd baked that morning, and placed them before the Velkari. Eat, he commanded. Anna stared at the food, her neural crest rising slightly in confusion. But we haven't agreed on terms. We haven't... I said eat. We'll talk after. The 2 aliens needed no further encouragement. They ate with the desperate intensity of the starving. Their elegant table manners, once a cornerstone of Velkari culture, forgotten in the face of survival. Marcus watched silently, refilling their bowls twice more before they finally slowed. When Roma had scraped the last drops from her bowl, tears streaming down her face in gratitude, Anna finally spoke. Thank you, human. Now, what do you require of us? Marcus poured 3 cups of bitter local tea and sat on a crate across from them. Let me tell you about Earth, he began. My home world. We've had our share of collapses. Empires, civilizations, whole continents of people reduced to nothing. And you know what we learned? The 2 Velkari shook their heads. We learned that how you treat people when they have nothing, that's what defines you. Not your technology, not your empire, not your power. He sipped his tea. Your people looked down on humans once, called us primitives, emotional, illogical. Anna's crest lowered in shame. It was true. The Velkari had considered themselves superior to most species, especially humans. "But here's what you're going to do," Marcus continued. "You're going to come to my stall every day. You're going to eat. And yes, you're going to work. But not as slaves, not as servants. You're going to help me cook, serve, and clean. You're going to learn how to make food from almost nothing, the way humans learned during our dark ages. And in return, you'll eat your fill, earn fair wages, and rebuild your dignity." Roma's translator crackled as she tried to speak through her tears. "Why? Why would you do this for us? After how our empire treated humans?" Marcus stood, extending his hand, a human gesture of agreement. "Because someone did it for my grandmother during the resource wars. A Chinese family took her in when her own people left her to die in the ruins of Mumbai. They asked nothing in return except that she pass the kindness forward." Anna stared at the offered hand, then slowly reached out and grasped it with her four-fingered grip. "We don't understand humans," she whispered. "You will," Marcus replied with a slight smile. "We're stubborn that way. We survive, we rebuild, and we don't leave people behind, not even former enemies. That's what makes us human." As the twin suns of Kepler 442b set behind the ruins, casting long shadows across the broken city, two Velkari scholars began learning human recipes. And in a small food stall in the refugee district, a different kind of empire began to take root, one built not on power or technology, but on the simple revolutionary act of human compassion. The galaxy had learned many things from humanity: their resilience, their adaptability, their stubborn refusal to surrender. But perhaps the most dangerous human trait was this: their insistence that every being, no matter how fallen, deserved dignity. It was an idea that would rebuild worlds,